Special right triangles are interesting. We have two different types. We have the 30, 60, 90 triangle and then the 45, 45, 90 triangle. Those names have to do with their angles. So here's a 30-degree angle, here's a 60-degree angle, and of course there's the 90. So the sides of the triangle, we can give them each a name. I'm going to call this leg the short leg, simply because it's shorter than the long leg. And then the other side, the side opposite the right angle, is always the hypotenuse. Okay, so the labels on them, the short leg is x. Right, so whatever the short leg is, the hypotenuse is twice the short leg. So I can write that as a formula. So the hypotenuse equals twice the short leg, 2 times the short. So whatever the short leg is, if I double it, I get the hypotenuse. And then the long leg is x times radical 3. So it says take the short leg, the x, and multiply it by radical 3 to get the long leg. So the long leg is equal to the short leg times radical 3. So short leg times radical 3. Okay, so I have to know the short leg in order to find the long leg, and I have to know the short leg in order to find the hypotenuse. Now, if you're given the short leg, it's pretty simple. Like this first one, I'm looking at this one. I have, so this 4 radical 2, that's the short leg. And I know that for a couple of reasons. I'm comparing this leg with this leg. Neither of them are the hypotenuse, so they're the legs, and it's shorter than this one. Right, so the 4 radical 2, that's the short. And the other 2, so the 4 radical 2 is the short leg, and then of course the x is the long leg because it's longer, and the y is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to just simply set up some small equations in order to solve for the pieces that I'm looking. So if I'm looking for the hypotenuse, I'm going to say y equals 2 times the short. So I have 2 times the short leg is 4 radical 2. Okay, so I do have that simple equation, and then I've got the hypotenuse. So 2 times 4 radical 2, I just need to multiply the numbers together and keep the radical, so 8 radical 2. And there we go, I have the y. Okay, so it's pretty simple once you see what's going on. Then if I'm looking for the x is the long leg, I take my short leg, so I'm looking at the other equation up here. Okay, so I'm looking at this equation now. The long leg equals short times radical 3. So I take the x, which is the long, set it equal to the short, which is 4 radical 2, times that by radical 3. And when I multiply radicals with numbers, I can only multiply the radicals with radicals. So the 4 will just come down. Radical 2 times 3 is 6. And there we go. Now I have the x and I have the y. So I'm going to check out this next triangle with the 7 on it. 7 is the short leg because this leg is shorter than that one. So I have the short leg, and I'm still using those same 2 equations. So write those equations down if you haven't already. So the hypotenuse is the y because it's across from the right angle. All right, so the hypotenuse is y. So I know y equals, so this is hypotenuse equals 2 times the short. So 2 times, what's the short leg? 7. So 2 times 7, that That's pretty easy. Y is 14. Okay, so Y is 14. Now I can use the other equation to find the x. And so I'm going to have the long leg equals short leg times radical 3. The long leg is the x. The short leg is the 7 times radical 3. 7 times radical 3, I can't do anything with it. 7 times radical 3 is simply 7 radical 3. So there I have the x value. Let's put it up here, 7 radical 3. Okay, so some of them are really, really easy. Let's check out the one with the 20 on it. So you first have to figure out which pieces you're dealing with. So this is the hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. And this is the short leg, and x is the long leg. So I know the hypotenuse, so I'm going to use the formula that has the hypotenuse in it. So the hypotenuse equals 2 times the short. There's the equation I'm going to use. So the hypotenuse is 20. 2 times the short leg is y. Okay, so to solve that for y, I'm going to simply divide it by 2. So 10 is equal to y. There we go. We have the y value, that's the short leg. Now I need to use the short leg in order to find the long leg. Because the long leg is equal to radical 3 times the short leg. Or the short leg times radical 3. It's the same thing. So if I take the short leg and plug it in, okay, so I found the short leg there is 10. So I'm going to have 10 times radical 3 equals the long leg is x. I can't multiply 10 radical 3, so it is what it is. It's just 10 radical 3. All right, so once I have the short leg, to get the second one, it's pretty easy. This last one is about as difficult as they get. So the 12 is the long leg. The y is the short leg. And the x is the hypotenuse. So I know the long leg, so that tells me to use the formula that has the long leg in it. So I'm going to use long equals short times radical 3. Okay, so the long leg equals the short times radical 3. And I plug in what I know. I know the long leg is 12 equals the short leg is y times the radical 3. So how do I solve this for y? Well, I'm multiplying radical 3. How do I undo multiplication? I use division. So I'm going to divide both sides by radical 3. So that's going to cancel those and give me 12 over radical 3 over here. But the problem is we can't leave the radical in the denominator, so we have to rationalize it like we were doing in the previous video. So how do I do that? Remember, I multiply the radical 3 on top and bottom. So on the top I have 12 radical 3. Can't multiply those. On the bottom I have radical 9 for multiplying those together, but radical 9 is just regular 3. Okay, then check these guys out, because I have 12 and 3 right there. 12 over 3, I can simply divide those. So that's going to give me 4 radical 3 is the y. So the short leg is 4 radical 3. Okay, now I can use that to easily find the hypotenuse, because the hypotenuse equals the short leg times 2, or 2 times the short leg, I might have wrote up there. But we just plug in what we know. We know x is the hypotenuse. We found our short leg is 4 radical 3. And we're going to double that. We're going to multiply by 2. So when you multiply radicals, the 2 will multiply with the 4 and get 8. Keep the radical 3. And there we have our x. So the hypotenuse is 8 radical 3. Okay. I will cover the 45, 45, 90s in a second video.